Hello everyone, welcome to the session. I hope I'm audible. So, let's start with the session. We are going to cover the current affairs for the month of April. So, April first week current affairs are going to be discussed here. And towards the end of this particular session, we do have a lot of questions for you, which I'll appreciate if you are going to answer alongside myself. Okay? If I am only going to answer, that is not much fun. You are going to also participate with me in that exercise. So, just let me cross check once if my voice is audible to you all. ऐसा तो नहीं है कि that I am speaking and it is not going to you. Otherwise, this is not a good thing. Yes, so it is completely audible and the video is also fine. So let's quickly begin. We have only 1 hour with us, so we have to cover as much as current affairs update from the first week as possible. Those of you who have not joined our Oliveboard application, you should join it, because most of the content and the file, the PDF that we are sharing here, you are going to get that free of cost. Also, just in order to overhaul and further consolidate your preparation, you can take this banking selection kit, which has a lot of features which are already mentioned here on the board. Let's start with the first news. Now, RBI, that is Reserve Bank of India, that has recently celebrated its 91st Foundation Day, and this was a historical moment. On April 1, they have celebrated this Foundation Day, which was a major breakthrough. Why this is important? Because there can be a lot of questions framed from this particular topic alone. All right. For example, which Foundation Day was recently celebrated by RBI in April 2026? Was it the 10th, or was it the 100th, or the 200th Foundation Day? What was the answer? So a single word answer, 91st Foundation Day. This is easier for you to calculate also if you are aware about. Let us assume that the exact number you are not able to remember or retain in the examination. The very specific information, we do not retain all of these numbers and names so easily. So if you are aware that in 1935 RBI was established, then you will be able to calculate it easily. Okay? It is very obvious that in 2035 it is going to be 100 year, and we are 9 years away from 2035, so it is obviously 91st Foundation Day of RBI. Now, other information pertaining to establishment of RBI is also crucial for you to note it somewhere or be aware of it. See, there is an important person, a freedom fighter, or not exactly a freedom fighter come a social reformer, like Mr. B.R. Ambedkar, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who had written a book, The Problem of the Rupee, and it is often credited to be the work which has helped in the conceptualization of RBI. Later, in 1926, a committee was formed which was called as the Hilton-Young Committee, and on the recommendation of this particular committee, in 1934, an act came into being which was called as the RBI Act, Reserve Bank of India Act, and on the basis of this particular act, finally RBI was institutionalized, it was established the year which is mentioned here. Initially, it used to operate from Kolkata or Calcutta, whatever you are willing to say. In the 1937, 2 years after the establishment, it shifted permanently to Mumbai, the capital of Maharashtra. All right, and 1949, the nationalization event of Reserve Bank of India took place. So these are all important static general knowledge information that you should be aware of. Apart from that, who was the first governor? Who was the current governor? Who is the current governor? Who was the first Indian governor? You should be aware of that. You should be aware of William Osborne. You should be aware of C.D. Deshmukh Saab. You should be aware of the current governor, whose name I think must have been mentioned here somewhere in the other side. Yes, the image is also given. Sri Sanjay Malhotra is the current governor, and the second news is also related to RBI, which we are going to cover after a while. Let us firstly check that is there anything else which we are supposed to add here. No, most of the information has already been discussed pertaining to the historical and the static general knowledge portion of this particular topic. Chaliye, moving ahead, let us talk about the news where RBI recently introduced certain digital security norms in order to re-strengthen and further make our digital ecosystem, the digital framework more secure. There were two major steps in this regard. Firstly, the two-factor authentication. What is two-factor authentication? All the users who are basically using Instagram, WhatsApp, Telegram, you must have already heard at least this particular name if you are not aware. Most of you must be aware also. So two-factor authentication, you can think of it as like two locks are placed on a single door because safety is your priority. So you are placing two locks on a single door to secure that premises. It is also a two-layer security system. The first layer is comprised of the biometrics or your password, your PIN, that whatever you are using to secure it. For example, it can be your facial scan, it can be your fingerprint scan, it can be a password or PIN that you have yourself made and you are going to utilize it for gaining access. Second is going to be the OTP based authentication, which is the second layer of protection. So this is going to re-strengthen the entire safety framework. All right. Apart from that, they have also came up with a AI initiative, an AI tool to detect what is called as mule. Mule are a specific type of accounts which is always and most often it is in the name of common people like you and me. All right, somebody else can be using this mule account, or which we can also say a pseudo account, a fake account, in order to do activities, nefarious activities like money laundering, which can be utilized probably to sponsor terrorism. Okay, so these type of accounts or mule accounts which are illicitly acquired by the criminals, there can be multiple ways. For example, somebody can come you in disguise of an employer that I'm going to give you a job. What you have to do, you have to make an account or give your existing account access to me, and I'm going to transfer this amount, and you are going to transfer this to the subsequent accounts of which I'm going to give you details. Okay, so you might think it is a task. He's trying to test if I'm able to do the transactions or not. He'll say that I'm going to keep you as account manager. So you should be aware of quickly doing the RTGS, IBPS, whatever I'm going to say. I'm going to see if you are able to work on a daily basis properly. So he's going to use your account in disguise of employee. Okay, there is a 15 days period where I'm going to observe you, and after that I'm going to give you a job. It can also be in disguise of dating apps. For example, somebody can hide their identity and you start dating them on some dating app. They'll say that certain friend or certain family member is in immediate need of money, and you do not have to send that money. I'll give you that money because from my account it is not getting transferred. So please help me out. You will all say, okay, it's not my money somebody is giving, I can transfer it. So you are going to do it. So again, unknowingly you get trapped in this particular chain. Or at times it is knowingly also. For example, they paid you. Specifically the poor people, needy people who hardly are aware that what is money laundering, what this money is used for. For them, it is a literacy. They do not know what this money is going to be used for. So they will be paid 6,000, 10,000, 15,000, depending upon the amount and the number of account, and then they will be due. So in order to detect these fake account, because what is the problem of the mule account? See, if one criminal or one fraudster transfer money from one account A to B, it can easily be tracked. But if you are transferring money via multiple routes, C, D, E, the tracking part becomes difficult for the authorities. For the enforcement authorities, for these authorities who are concerned with stopping these type of activities. So there is an AI tool that has been integrated. It is called as mulehunter.ai. It is going to detect these type of mule account or the illicit account. So these are two important initiatives which you should be aware of. The next news, second or third news, two news were both related to RBI, so they can be called as the first news itself. Next we have IRDAI. IRDAI is a regulatory body, Insurance Regulatory Development Authority of India, which came into being through IRDAI Act of 1999, and through this IRDAI as an institution was established in the year 2000. It became operational from the year 2000. It operates all the type of general or the life insurance companies that exist in India. General insurance companies, it include all the non-life insurance companies, health insurance, motor vehicle insurance, property insurance, all these are type of general insurance product. Life insurance pertains to, as the name suggests, it is related to your life of the individual, the mortality or the survival of the individual. So IRDAI is a regulating body. Now it has a system of designating few institutions or few insurers and reinsurers in a category called as DSI. ठीक है, just like the ICC and the BCCI also have a criteria. BCCI have na, BCCI, the Board of Control Cricket in India, it keeps certain top level player in A plus category, then there is A category, like that. For example, in Bollywood also you have double A listers, you have A listers, you have B listers, C listers. All right, the smaller tier actor in which like actors like Nawazuddin Siddiqui साहब और मनोज बाजपेयी साहब और इरफान साहब, ये सारे actors उसमें आते हैं, है ना, those who directly do not contribute immensely to the box office collection. Now at the first tier, the double A stars are those stars on their name the people are going to come to watch your movies. So similarly, this IRDI also has a system of categorizing important institutions. So this, the full form of DSI is Domestic Systematically Important Insurers. The name is, the full form is also given here. Now, what are these DSIs? What it means? What is the significance of a particular insurer or reinsurance getting categorized in this particular category? These are too big to fail institution. They are so big as an institution that their failure can result into financial disruption. So we cannot afford, or we cannot let them to fail. We need continuous surveillance, not surveillance exactly, monitoring and strict regulation in order to prevent any type of discrepancy or chances of collapse in these institutions. So this is a recent initiative of IRDI. It has been not very long since it started maintaining this list of DSI. I think 19 or 21, that was the year when they started doing this. And from then, these three insurance companies and reinsurers have been kept into this category, and every year IRDI retains them. Every year it retains them. So what are these companies? First is LIC. Second is GIC, that is General Insurance Corporation, Reinsurance, and the third is New India Assurance Company. Last year also they were in this category. This year also IRDI has retained them. So this was the second news. Acha, few important thing that what is the criteria? How you decide a company is or insurance is in the category of DSI? For that they see few things. For example, can certain other company operating in the market replace your operation? Can you be replaced? Somebody else can, if you fail, can somebody quickly take your place or not? If not, then you are too big to fail. Okay? What is the total size of asset under management or the value that the company is dealing with? For example, LIC is the dominant player in the life insurance market, and it is having a complete, if you see the asset under management, it is more than 50 lakh crores. All right, so financially also it is too big to fail. Then there is interconnectedness. For example, LIC has stakes in a lot of companies, individual companies. So if LIC fails somehow, the other companies in which LIC is having a stake, it is also going to be disrupted. So there is an angle of what we call as interconnectedness, which I think was mentioned somewhere here also. So if these criteria, the market size, the importance, and the interconnectedness, they are intact, you will be designated into this particular category. Any questions till this part? कुछ भी जो आपको यहाँ तक ना समझ में आए हो, आप उसको पूछ सकते हो. चलिए, और आप कमेंट सेक्शन का भी यूटिलाइजेशन कर सकते हो. You can utilize the comment section. Hello, good evening, Pawan. So if there is anything, any topic that you are not able to understand, you may ask that in the comment section itself. Coming to the next news, that is RBI's deferment of capital market exposure norms. What is deferment here? Deferment simply means postpone. It means postpone. Something is being postponed. So what is being postponed? A set of rules which were called as CME, capital market exposure. Norms simply means rules. Okay? So these rules were being made by RBI, and they were supposed to be enacted here in the month of April 26 only, but now it has been postponed from April to July 2026. Okay? So we should understand, if this thing was in news, we should understand the context. What is CME? See, CME stands for capital market exposure. Capital market is nothing but the stock market, the share market. All right. So just like we are having our exposure in the capital market, stock market, either we buy stocks or we invest in mutual fund. So our money is going into the market. This is market exposure. Similarly, banks also do have market exposure. How do they have market exposure? For example, a lot of companies these days, you see, if it is let's say Kotak, or it is HDFC, ICICI, Axis, SBI, even Canara Bank has its own flagship Canara Robeco scheme. So all of these, even Bandhan Bank, they also have. UTI is also having. है ना. So most of these companies, the financial players, banking institution, they are having stakes in the market. They are having small cap, mid cap, large cap, multi cap, flexi cap, thematic, sectoral type of market instruments, through which there is a direct exposure in the market, and market is always a risky bet. So the RBI won't want, even the government will not want that the money of the public which is in bank is exposed very highly in the market. Small exposure, ठीक है, it will work, but it should not be very much. So there are certain regulation or rules which are need to be made to prevent that exposure. Acha, this was the first way of exposure into market. Second way of exposure into market for banks is by giving loans to the individual by putting their shares as collateral. Just like when you are buying, let's say you are taking a loan from the bank, you keep anything as a collateral, as a guarantee. So at times, you can keep your shares also as collateral. For example, let's suppose you have a Tata Motors share or Reliance Industries share of 1 crore rupees. You want loan against it. You can go to a bank and ask for it. Even your demat at times, your demat account provider, for example, Zerodha, Angel One, they also provide this facility for a certain amount which is called as pledging. You can pledge your holding, and on behalf of that pledging, you can ask for loan from the demat account service provider, or you can ask it from bank itself. So for that also, the rule is that RBI has made a new rule that you cannot take 100% of loan against the amount. For example, if your Reliance Industries share is of 1 crore rupees, you cannot go to bank, keep that 1 crore rupees share as a guarantee and take 1 crore rupees as a loan. Why? Because the value of that share is not fixed. It fluctuates on a daily basis. All right. If there is a market tension, if there is a collapse, the value of that 1 crore rupees can fall to 50 lakh rupees within a time period of few days or weeks. So there is a risk element, and that is why there is a safety margin that has been introduced, a 40% haircut. Acha, pehle nahi tha kya? In fact, earlier it was a little more less, like the margin was even lesser. Now the margin has been comparatively increased. So you can, if you go to a bank with 1 crore rupees of share of a particular company, you can get at max 40 lakh rupees as a safety margin for the bank. Acha, the other way, another way for the banks to indulge into market is for giving loans to individual for the purpose of investing in IPOs, initial public offering. Zomato comes and gets listed, Swiggy comes and gets listed, Policy Bazaar comes and gets listed in the market. People like retailers do not want big amount because they apply for only 1-2 lot, which they can themselves fund. But the HNIs or the high net worth individual, they apply multiple bids. Okay? So they need big amount of money, and this money they take it from the bank. Now bank is going to charge them interest, but for that also, for the application of the IPOs and for purchasing the e-shop, RBI has mandated a cap of 25 lakh rupees. You cannot take more than 25 rupees of loan from bank for applying in IPOs or e-shop as a HNI or as a big institution. All right. Next is for example, as we have mentioned, you are taking loans against the share. So firstly, so you cannot take beyond 40%. Acha, in amount, that value cannot exceed 1 crore rupees. It cannot exceed 1 crore rupees. Okay, so that also you need to keep in mind. So these are the things that RBI has recently mandated. Moving to the next news, this is regarding CBDT, that the Central Board of Direct Tax, it has recorded the highest APA, Advanced Pricing Agreement, for the year 2025-26. Firstly, we need to understand what is an APA. APA, that is Advanced Pricing Agreement. Let us suppose there is a company, American company like Google or Microsoft or Amazon. Their headquarters are basically somewhere else, but they are also operating through their Indian wing in Indian soil. Here also they are working, here also they are hiring people, here also they are renting a space, here also they are buying furniture, here also they are paying taxes, here also they are paying for electricity bills, etc. So the business that they are doing, for that they have to generate a receipt, and this receipt is being sent to the headquarter. Let us suppose there is a edtech company, any edtech company. These days edtech companies have a headquarter or a center where they are based, and they also have regional centers as well, which are called as offline centers. For example, it can be in Lucknow, it can be in Indore, it can be in Hyderabad, it can be in Bhopal, it can be in Pune, it can be in Delhi, it can be in Prayagraj, it can be in Patna, all these centers, it can be in Guwahati. So these are the regional centers. So the regional centers are also renting a space basically for the offline facility. They are also hiring employees. Okay? They are also paying electricity bill and all the other expenses. So who is going to pay this? Are these regional centers going to pay that? No. Entire money that is being collected or the revenue that is generated, that is also going to the headquarters, the centralized headquarters, whether it is Bangalore, whether it is in Gurugram or Noida, and also the expenses, all the expenses that they are incurring, the bill for that is also sent to the headquarters. Similarly, for the companies like which are based in other countries like America or some European country, their Indian counterparts, they operate in India and they raise a receipt for the salaries of the employee, for the taxes which have been paid, for the other thing. So government often warn these Indian units or counterpart that do not try to play foul here. Whatever is the overall cost coming, try to keep it as it is. Do not try to do certain tactical ways or taxation ways by which you are trying to deduct the amount that is supposed to be given to Indian government, because here also you are having tax liability. You are paying to Indian government also because your operation is in India. You are using the Indian customer base, etc. So what happens? There is often a battle between these two, the Indian counterpart of the global company and the taxation bodies within India like the CBDT, the Central Board of Direct Tax. They often end in a battle, and due to this there is a high amount of litigation cost, the court cost. They will go to court, and in court the thing can be like sub judice for 2 years, 3 years or 4 years. This delays the operation. It is also expensive process, and it also less efficient process. In order to sort this type of issue, India few years back recently started what is called as APA, that we will discuss and decide in advance what is going to be the price that you are going to pay. And this type of agreement is called as the APA agreement. Now there are multiple types of APA agreement. It can be unilateral also, it can be bilateral also, it can be multilateral also. Unilateral means between the Indian counterpart and the Indian tax bodies like CBDT. And bilateral means apart from these two, the parent organization that is also involved. Okay? It can be multilateral also. It can be multilateral also. See, in unilateral APA, the Indian tax body which represents the government of India, it is there, the company is there, and the foreign government where the company is based, they are part of it. Sorry, foreign government is not there in unilateral. In bilateral APA or BAPA, individual is there, company is there, and also the foreign government where that company is based, it is involved. In multilateral APA, apart from these, other countries are also involved. More than one country is involved. So we have recorded, the CBDT has reported for year 2025-26 the highest number of APAs, that is 219 APAs signed between April 2025 to March 2026, and the total number of APAs since inception, since this started, has reached more than 1,000. Okay? Out of this, the bilateral APAs were around 84, highest ever till now. Okay? Chaliye. Now let us understand certain basic information, static information pertaining to this. As I have mentioned, APA is a pre-negotiated voluntary contract between the company and the tax authorities, like CBDT. It was launched in 2012 via the Finance Act 2012, which added a new section in the Income Tax Act. In 2014, India signed the first APA with certain Japanese companies. The nodal body for this is CBDT, as it is mentioned. All right. The original name for CBDT was Central Board of Revenue till 1924. Later it bifurcated and it came into the way we know it today. So I hope this news is also clear to you. We have simplified it as much as possible. Any doubts, you may keep asking them in the chat box in the comment section. I have that chat box open in front of me. And towards the end, I'll expect that you are able to answer the questions also pertaining to the topic that we are discussing. Now, the next news here is the 7th news, that is regarding status quo on small saving schemes interest rate. So, we have a lot of saving schemes in our country. For example, like Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana or the Sukanya Samriddhi account. We have PPF, that is Public Provident Fund, and a lot of other. Some related to farmers, some related to girl child, some related to some other eligible person. They offer interest rate. Okay? Now, Finance Ministry has notified that the interest rate for various schemes, they are going to be consistent, like they are going to be same as it was last year. There is not going to be any change, plus or minus. Okay? So for example, SSA, that is Sukanya Samriddhi, was 8.2, it will remain 8.2. Apart from that, NSC was 7.7, it will remain so. PPF was 7.1, it will remain so. Okay? So from this, static information can also be asked. For example, what is the interest rate currently of various schemes, important schemes? So Kanya is very important, PPF is very important, so you should be aware of that. Apart from that, who is eligible for those schemes, for whom, for example, Sukanya Samriddhi, I cannot take part in it. All right, so the eligibility criteria also you should be aware of, and which of these schemes are tax exempted, where you can take tax exemption, that you should also be aware of. So I have made this entire table, which will be available to you once you download the PDF from the application. All the year of inception or launch, every other details has been mentioned here very clearly. So take it as a homework after the class. You have to download this from the website, from the application. It can be also accessed through other portals as well. And you have to read it out to understand these information. Moving ahead, the next news is regarding NSE and IGX have recently partnered for India's first natural gas derivative. So NSE, that is a national stock exchange, where the companies get listed. It is one of the important stock exchange. The other is BSE, that is Bombay Stock Exchange. It is the Asia's oldest and world's largest stock exchange. Okay? It has more than 5,000 companies listed, and out of that, more than 4,500 companies are operational, active, which are completely inactive way. Okay? So NSE has partnered with Indian Gas Exchange, and they have together launched a exchange traded derivative. Now the regulatory body, as it is related to the capital market, the regulatory body here is, it has received the SEBI's approval for the launch of this particular exchange traded derivative. Now whenever this type of derivative or this type of thing is launched, they have a benchmark which they track. So what is the benchmark here? The benchmark is going to be GIXI, that is Gas Index of India. Gas Index of India. Okay? They are not going to be benchmarking on certain international, you can say, points. Rather, it is going to be based upon our indigenous GIXI, that is Gas Exchange of India. What is going to be the impact? It is going to help companies to hedge against the domestic price fluctuation. I hope you do understand the concept of hedging. I'll give you a simple example of hedging. For example, in your family, let's suppose there is a marriage which is going to be held in the month of September or October. There are still 5 months, 6 months there for the marriage. But the people who are going to get married, they are not here. They are living abroad. They are living abroad, and jewelries, etc., has to be bought from them. Has to be bought for them. Now, till the time they do not come, they are not going to be able to choose the jewelries. If they are getting married, jewelries has to be based upon what they like, what they do not like. And you are skeptical that probably 6 months later, gold price can jump sharply. It will be quite expensive. So how you can hedge it? Market provides various options and instruments. The simplest one, which I can give you example about, is the gold ETF. You can purchase a gold ETF if you're not willing to buy the jewelry, because it has making cost, a lot of other components, and it is also ki ho sakta hai pasand bhi na hai, for whom you are buying, they do not like it. So you're not willing to buy it before they come, before they return back to India. So what you do, you invest that amount in the gold ETF. There are various gold ETF which can be brought from any demat account. Okay? So अब क्या है? If the price of the gold increases, the price or the value of the ETF will also increase, and also the physical gold will increase. So when you go to a store for buying the physical gold, definitely you have to pay extra, but you have already hedged it. You had a security against it by investing the same amount earlier today in gold ETF. So to hedge this type of fluctuation that happens these days due to Middle East crisis, the geopolitical situation, this is a very common thing. Very common thing. So I have also added a table here basically for the purpose of your comparison. where these bodies, exchanges and index are based, what is the year of their incorporation, what is their location, and what is the regulating body. You can all check this information because question can directly be framed. These two, IGX and NSE, they are stock exchange. GIXI, on the other hand, it is a index. Year of incorporation, NSE came in 1992, whereas the other two are quite recent. NSE is based in Mumbai, just like Bombay Stock Exchange. The other two are in Gift City, that is in Gandhinagar, Gujarat. Okay. Moving ahead to the next important update, which is regarding coal gasification. Okay. What is coal gasification? Why we are doing it? It is basically an instrumental industrial process. And for this process, two of the bodies have signed or partnered with each other. One is BCGCL, that stands for Bharat Coal Gasification and Chemical Limited. It is a joint venture between CIL and BHEL, Coal India Limited and Bharat Heavy Electronics Limited. So they have partnered. The joint venture is called as the BCGCL, Bharat Coal Gasification Limited. And the other body, that is MCL, is Mahanadi Coal Fields, which is also a subsidiary of this CIL only, Coal India Limited only. Both this CIL and BHEL, they are the Maharatna companies. I hope you do know what are Maharatna companies. There are 14 of them. Okay. So BCGCL is a joint venture which is established recently in the year 2024, whereas the Mahanadi Coal Field, which is subsidiary of Coal India, it was established in the year 1992. So what they are trying to do here, they are trying to partner with each other for setting up a project in Lakhanpur, a place in Odisha, where they are going to convert the coal into ammonium nitrate. Why they require to convert it to ammonium nitrate? Because ammonium nitrate is heavily used in lot of places. It is used in the fertilizer, agricultural industry. It is used for the manufacturing of the industrial explosives also. So we do have a lot of use of it, and we import it a lot. Just like crude oil, just like LPG, we import it, just like a lot of other petrochemicals. So we want to reduce our import dependence on other countries, because during the war, during uncertain times, it becomes very difficult for us to manage these things. So it is better if we can do this indigenously in our own country. So for that, this coal gasification and conversion of coal to ammonium nitrate, this project is going to be started by partnership between these two important bodies. Okay. The target is going to be, they are willing to achieve a target of 100 million ton of coal by 2030. And as far as the production of ammonium nitrate is concerned, the target is that they want to produce, when this partnership with this project is being undertaken, under this particular project, they are willing to produce 2,000 tons of ammonium nitrate per day, every single day. So this is their target, which they want to achieve here. Okay? I hope this is clear. Where it is used, why do we need this partnership, why we do need to convert coal into ammonium nitrate. I hope everything is clear to you. If there is anything that is not clear, do ask. And those of you who are willing to take part in the super elite batch, you can also take part in that, where you get everything else which is generally not included in the normal class, from mock to test to mentorship. A lot of things are there, proper notes, current affair coverage, everything you get at one place. Everything is sorted. Moving to the next news, this is regarding India's upcoming census of 2027. From this topic, there can be 2 to 3 questions that can be answered. For example, there can be static question, and this I'm going to give you as a homework. You have to find this, and if you are already aware of this, you have to mention that in the chat box in the comment section. The static question related to this topic is, when the first synchronized, focus upon the keyword, when did the first synchronized census in India start taking place? कब ये चीज शुरू हुई? ठीक है? You have to mention this. Just give me a second. So you have to mention this. Okay? Second question is, this 2027 census, which number of census is this? Is it the 10th or the 12th or the 20th? Is this? You have to mention this in the comment section. Now, I'll be telling you information related to this dynamic news which was in circulation, which can be asked in the examination. First is the question that can be framed. is what is the official mascot for the census of 2027. So the official mascot is Vikas and Pragati. I think it is not mentioned here. You should be aware of that. Vikas and Pragati have been declared. The male, that is Vikas, the Pragati female, declared as the official mascot for 2027 census. And also the ambassador can be asked. So Sudarshan Patnaik has been declared as the ambassador, who is a sand artist, has been declared as a ambassador for the census of 2027. Moving ahead, this information is about Nyaya Setu, AI chatbot, and Mission Karmyogi Sadhana Saptah. There are two distinct news. AI, this Nyaya Setu, this is basically a legal assistant. Often in the practice or the field of law, the language barrier is a major barrier. So in order to curb this language barrier, this AI legal assistant is going to help. Why? Because it is providing a multilingual linguistic ability solution and multilingual translation to make justice more accessible and more efficient and easier. All right. So what is Dishika? Dishika is the mascot for this particular program. So this can also be asked in the examination. Okay, na? And this particular AI tool, that is Nyaya Setu, the portal which is mentioned here, and the AI tool that is integrated with it, the legal assistant. Now they are trained on the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanghita, which has replaced the Indian Penal Code, IPC. All right. Chaliye. Moving ahead, I have given a comparative table for you to compare this and understand the difference, what is what. For example, Nyaya Setu, it is a AI-based legal assistant tool, whereas Mission Karmyogi Sadhana Saptah was a capacity building training initiative, which was targeted for the bureaucrats, for the mostly the civil servants and the government officers, to make their working more people-centric and focus the shift from rule-based administration to role-based administration. So both are targeting different categories. Their nature is also different. Next information we have, record milestone India's defense export. India has achieved this feat. For example, I hope in regard to this information, you must be aware of another report which came in March 2026 last month. SIPRI, Stockholm, has recently declared that India is currently at second position as far as global arm import is concerned. Okay? Global arm import. We are importing a lot of weapons or arms from other countries, according to Stockholm. The first place is occupied by Ukraine, and there is a reason also. Ukraine is amidst a war with Russia. There is a war. There has been a war that has been going on. So it is but obvious that they are going to import a lot. Still, the difference is not much if you compare India and Ukraine, because India's size is also greater as compared to Ukraine. Now, at the fifth position also, you'll have another neighbor of ours, that is Pakistan is at fifth position as far as the arms importer is concerned. Now, who is exporting most of these things? Countries like Russia has been a very important partner. For example, between 2020 to 2024, the period about which this SIPRI report is talking about, we have imported as much as 38% arms from Russia alone. Okay? And then we also have dependent largely upon France and followed by it US. Now we are also strengthening our tie-ups with countries like Israel for its air defense technology, and recently we have partnered and signed agreements with South Korea also. Okay? This is also something, it is last week news about April. We are talking about the first week news. So I'm not going to detail that out because this we'll cover in the April 4th week current affairs. So we are partnering with South Korea also, the country to which the big giants, global giants like Samsung, etc. do belong. So, this is about India. If you talk generally, US is the world's largest arms exporter. It exports the highest arms. Then France is also there, followed by Russia is also there. So this news was regarding import. Now we are not just importing, we are significantly exporting also. We are exporting, our defense export has reached a level that we have not seen earlier. So for FY 25-26, the figure has reached around 38,500 crore. that is equivalent to $4.5 billion, roughly $4.5 billion. You do not have to focus upon every single digit. You have to focus upon the approximate figure, that is around 38.5 thousand crore. This is a growth of more than 62% as compared to the FY 24-25. So significant growth is also there. Now, who are exporting these things? Both public sector and private sectors are involved in this. I hope you are aware that even in our defense, we have opened the entry for the private players, and also in the space projects also we have opened the entry for the private players. ठीक है ना? So यहाँ पर the share of DPSUs, the public sector undertakings, was around 55%, and the share of private companies were around 45%. So both have significantly contributed. Okay? And we are currently reaching out to more than 80 countries as far as this value is concerned. Chaliye. Next is the commissioning of a third nuclear submarine, that is called as INS Aridaman S4. So India has commissioned recently its third naval nuclear submarine at Vizag, that is Visakhapatnam. Okay? Now, this is the third nuclear submarine, but it is the largest. If you talk about displacement or the technicalities, so it is having a displacement of around 7,000 ton, which is greater than compared to its earlier predecessor. ठीक है, तो वो आपको ध्यान में रखना. You have to keep that in mind. Now, talking about the firepower of Aridaman S4, it holds the capacity for 24 K-15 Sagarika missile and for 8 K-4 nuclear missile. I hope you are aware with the classification of what is what these type of missiles are. Basically, missiles are categorized into two broad categories. One is the ballistic missile, the other is a cruise missile. Okay? Ballistic missile has its initial journey fueled by a rocket engine. All right, and then it reaches to the outer space, and again under the influence of gravity it comes back to hit the target. Okay? So initial journey is powered, and later journey is under the influence of the thrust plus gravity. This much part it will go under thrust, and then it will start moving towards the target. So till this particular time, till the point when the journey is fueled or it is powered, you can still change the trajectories, but for the other half of the flight you cannot change the target. Once you have set the target, you cannot alter the target. So you should be aware of that. Whereas in the case of cruise missile, it is mostly lower, it flies at a lower altitude, more parallel to the ground. Okay? And the entire journey is completely fueled. All right, and that is why you can change the target also. Now, based upon the range, these ballistic missile can be divided into multiple categories. The short range ballistic missile, SRBM, medium range ballistic missile, or the largest one which has the highest range, that is called as intercontinental ballistic missile, ICBM, with a range exceeding 5,500 kilometers. Okay? Now, based upon how you are launching them, they can further be classified. For example, if you are launching from ground to ground, from one place here to this particular place, this is called as surface to surface missile. Okay? Now, if you are flying on an aircraft and you are targeting another jet, from a jet you are targeting another jet. So if you are launching a vehicle and it is going to hit another aerial craft, this is called as air to air. Here this is SLBM, that is submarine launch ballistic missile. From submarine you are going to launch this particular missile and it is going to hit the target, which can be anywhere. Okay? I hope this is completely clear to you all. Moving to the next information, that is regarding Gaganyaan mission. So next year India is having this Gaganyaan mission. 2027 we are going to have this Gaganyaan mission. This is the first time that we are sending humans in space flight mission. So we have made a crew of 3 people and they are going for this Gaganyaan mission. Okay? The launch vehicle is LVM-3. Okay? Launch vehicle Mark 3 is the launch vehicle which is used here. Earlier it was called as GSLV. We have changed the name. It was called as GSLV, Geosynchronous Launch Vehicle. Now we call it as LVM3. I'm not going to go into the detail about the reason why the name was changed. It will take more time. So this is going to be the launch vehicle. 27, we are going for the Gaganyaan. 3 members team has already been framed. Now for that we have to prepare. Just like for a cricket match, you have to prepare. Be prepared that what type of ball is going to come. So in space also, things are different. And it is difficult. You have to do certain tests. You have to see your endurance. You have to see the experiences and monitor and access a lot of things. Examine a lot of things. So for that, an experiment was conducted in Shokar Valley of Ladakh, which is a high altitude region in Ladakh. And the name of this particular experiment was MITRA, which stands for a mapping of interoperable traits and reliability assessment. Okay. Why Ladakh only? Because we need place where the conditions are slightly similar to the space. What is the major problem in the space? Low oxygen. You do not have oxygen concentration. So on higher altitude also the same problem. Oxygen is very low, which result into condition called as hypoxia, lack of oxygen. All right. So for this we had this particular mission in this particular region. You should be aware about the place where this has taken place and about the other details as well. Next is regarding Moody's. See, IMF and Moody's have given 2 reports for the month of in the month of April, first week. According to IMF has increased the forecast. IMF believes that we are going to, our economy is going to grow. Let me write it here also. IMF thinks our economy, Indian economy is going to grow at 6.5%. Okay, na? It says that India has currently, as per of the if we see from the perspective of GDP, we have came to the 6th spot from the earlier 4th spot. We have slipped to 6th spot. And it says the major reason for this is the rupee depreciation. Rupee has depreciated, and rupee depreciation occurred due to 2 main things. Firstly, the Middle East tension that is going on, and secondly, a lot of banks in India were having a lot of open position in the market against rupee. So these things have resulted into depreciation or the falling of the rupee, which has triggered into the fall of India from position 4 to position 6. According to IMF, this is a temporary thing. We are supposed to grow at 6.5%. Why it is hoping that we are going to grow at this significant rate despite these challenges? Because Trump Sahab or the US Supreme Court has cancelled the Trump tariff. Trump tariff, the 50% tariff are now being cancelled, and the new documents which are being probably worked upon, there will be discussions about that. It will be keeping the tariffs to around 10 to 15%. So due to this reduced tariff, we are going to get benefited. But there are a lot of technicalities which we are not going to discuss here because it is not for UPSC preparation. For example, Trump still has a lot of indigenous law in US with which he can keep the higher taxes still alive for a significant time period. But we are not we do not have to discuss that because this is about the IMF report, not the discussion on geopolitics. Secondly, the Moody's, which is another credit rating agency, credit rating body. So Moody's has said that earlier it has forecasted that India is supposed to grow at 6.8% Indian economy. Now it has revised and says that India is supposed to grow at 6%. What is the reason why Moody's has reduced this particular target? Reason being that due to Middle East tension, the Strait of Hormuz, which is a major pathway from where a lot of consignment comes to India, it has been choked by Iran, due to which the price will fluctuate and the consignment will see a huge amount of delay. India depends upon this path for 55% of its crude oil and also 90% of its LPG consignment. The choking of this pathway is going to be an economic burden and economic constraint for our nation. That is why it has reduced it. Now we are quickly going to solve certain questions, and if you want, you can answer that in the comment section as well. If you are sure about the answer, you can get along and answer. We have 10 minutes. Let us quickly solve them. So the first question here, if you are willing to answer, even later if you are watching the session, do mention the question number alongside answer. That is 1A or 1B or 1C. Do not just say that answer is 1 or A or B or C. Mention the question number also. So first question is, who has been appointed as the brand ambassador for India's first digital census, which is starting from April 2026? Options are Amitabh Bachchan Sahab, Sudarshan Patnaik Sahab, or is it Neeraj Chopra or Mary Kom? So the correct answer for this particular question is Mr. Sudarshan Patnaik, who is a sand artist. Next question is, what is the displacement capacity of INS Aridaman S4? We have just covered it. The displacement capacity is 7,000 ton. Moving ahead, which small saving scheme offers the highest interest rate at 8.2% for Q1 Q1 of FY 26-27? So the answer is Sukanya Samriddhi at 8.2%. It is still the highest. It has remained unchanged. Next is, which AI tool has been deployed by or developed by RBI for identifying the mule account? Simple answer, mulehunter.ai. Common sense. Next question, according to Moody's, what percentage of India's total LPG supply is sourced from the Gulf? Answer to this is 90%. Crude oil is 55% and the LPG supply is around 90% that we depend. Moving ahead, next question, the coal to chemical project of producing ammonium nitrate that has been started with a partnership of Bharat Coal Gasification, okay, and MCL, that is Mahanadi Coal Field. It is based in which particular state? Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand or Odisha or West Bengal? So the correct answer for this is Odisha, and specifically the place is named Lakhanpur. The place is named as Lakhanpur. You should be aware of the exact place as well. Chaliye. In FY25, India defense exports exceeded historic high of approximately what amount? The amount is roughly around 38,500 crore. So C is the correct answer. C is the correct answer. Moving ahead, under the revised CME framework, what is the retail lending cap for individual for IPO subscription? See, for IPO it is kept at 20. IPO and ESOP both. It is kept at 25 lakh per individual. Next is, what is the name of the mascot launched alongside Nyaya Setu? We have discussed. Achha, this can confuse you because all of these words were in news in the month of March and April. So the correct answer here is Dishika. Next is, which insurer was retained in the category of DSI? So the correct answer here is New India Assurance. Okay? चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. Name the domestic benchmark upon which the NSE and IGX natural gas derivatives are based. Correct answer is Gas Index of India, GIXI. Where is the Mitra analog program for Gaganyaan mission being conducted by ISRO? Correct answer is Shokar Valley, which is in Ladakh. So with this we come to the end of our today's discussion, and tomorrow also I think we are going to have a class, live class, and in that we are going to cover second week of April. All the news and updates from 8th of April to I think 16th of April, and in next 3 days we'll be covering the entire weekly topics along with the MCQs for the month of April. For May month, we'll definitely start it after 7. It will be probably on 8th. Okay? So next 3 days, that is 1st, 2nd and 3rd, we are completing our April portion, and after a break of 3 days, 4 days, as soon as the first week of May is already done, we'll be continuing that. So you can join our Telegram space also. You get a lot of material, quiz, etc. Everything at one particular place, and all the notification comes here for the initial time period. So you can join it also, scan and directly join this space. Thank you very much for the lecture. If you liked it, do comment it and do share it with others also. Goodbye, take care, have a nice day.